Well, I'm also a member of the California State Assembly, so I am receiving updates as they come in, and it is an absolute violent mess. Gavin Newsom and California Democrats are singularly responsible for the mayhem that's broken out in California because, number one, they incited it. They took to social media last week on Friday when ICE conducted their raids to remember, let's be clear, as Jason just said, arrest criminals, some of the worst criminals, sex offenders, rapists.
We had some riots going on in Orange Park on Kingsley and 17th. Not riots, I mean protests, but it got rained out. Was hoping they was gonna come out after the rain so we could drive by and splash them, but they never came back.
Burglars, people with violent crimes, assault perpetrators. All of these violent criminals were being rounded up by ICE, not just people here without immigration status. We're talking about real criminals. And what they did is they said that we all needed to take to the streets. So Newsom, Karen Bass, Democrat politicians called on people to go to the streets. Second, they fund the organizations that are organizing these protests. We found over $34 million went to the Coalition for Immigrant
$34 million.
Humane Rights in Los Angeles, $34 million in state taxpayer money. And they're the lead organization, not only organizing these protests, but they run a hotline telling people where the ICE agents are and where they should be deploying to. So they're basically giving people their assignments as to where they're to show up and to attack ICE agents. And then finally, they try to shift the blame to Donald Trump. This blame is uniquely at the feet of Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, and the other Democrats that have created a complete mess out here with their sanctuary state policies and actually have had a very heavy hand in organizing these protests. We even found politicians from the state assembly participating in these protests and urging people to get more aggressive. A member of the LA City Council said that Democrats would be able to organize and be resilient and change up their tactics to stop ICE terrorists. Yeah. This sort of rhetoric needs to stop because it only inflames the tensions out here.
Yeah, you said CHIRLA, that's the Coalition for Human Immigrant Rights. They also led a 2018 campaign to abolish ICE. So clearly, to your point about the narrative there. But we're hearing two different narratives in terms of public officials here. You got Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass, as you pointed out. They're calling for this deployment purposely inflammatory by sending the National Guard there. Karen Bass putting this out, deploying federal troops on the heels of these raids as a chaotic escalation. And then you got Governor Gavin Newsom there demanding Trump rescind what he called unlawful deployment of the National Guard troops. Your response to how they're handling the situation in their own state, saying that this is our issue, we'll deal with it. We don't need federal agents here or National Guard troops to come in and help. How do you respond to that?
Governor Gavin Newsom had an obligation to deploy the National Guard the second that these violent riots got out of control. He has an obligation to back up local law enforcement, men and women who are putting their lives on the line and are being attacked by these thugs. He is derelict in his duty. So I appreciate the fact that President Trump is stepping in and making sure that people are protected and that law enforcement is protected. Governor Gavin Newsom today has announced that he's going to file a lawsuit to stop President Trump from mobilizing the National Guard, the California National Guard. I've spoken to several members of the National Guard, and they are eager to perform this mission. They see the violence. They see the lawlessness. They want to restore public safety, and they also want to protect frontline law enforcement personnel. So, Governor Newsom, you might want to ask the members of the National Guard whether they want to do this mission. Right. They're eager to do the mission, and they're embarrassed that they have a commander-in-chief, that refuses to do the job. Wow. They're grateful for President Trump stepping in and utilizing the National Guard to back up law enforcement to restore order.
All right. That is Carl DeMaio joining us. Thank you, sir.
I felt like a Spanish, like a Puerto Rican in this hair. I felt Puerto Rican. Y'all know I love me some Puerto Rican. I felt Puerto Rican in this. Rican.